Well, hello, everyone. Just want to say hello and welcome to the DI Dashboard webinar. My name is Shawnee, and I am the training evangelist for Dealer Inspire. And my job is to teach you everything you want to know about the DI Dashboard and all the other great stuff that we do here at Dealer Inspire. Now, if you have any questions during the segment, you can send them via the chat board here on GoToMeeting, or we'll have a short little Q&A session at the end as well. And also, especially those of you who are clients of ours, you know that this is a new endeavor. So if you could, please let us know how we're doing by filling out a little fun survey and, just giving us some feedback. Let know what works, what doesn't work. The URL is po.st/DISURVEY. And I'm sending it right now via the chat. And yeah, just let us know how we're doing. Also, this video is being recorded. This webinar is being recorded, so it will be up within our site within 24 hours. And for that, you can go to www.dealerinspire/di. How do I? I'm typing as I write. If I sound weird, and you can from there you can find the past webinars that we've had. We have some really great ones. You can sign up for our next webinar, which is Protecting Your Rep with Alan Haynes. So, that's going to be a great one. But today, we are going to learn about using customer data wisely. It's all about RESPCT. And Erin Kasch, our very own Erin Kasch, is going to speak with us about that. Erin?
Hi, Shawnee and everybody. Really excited to be here and kind of talking about this topic today. Before we dive in, I just want to put a little note out there. This is actually something I feel personally passionate about. Just because of this full reaction I first had when I saw all this data. I think Joe was a little concerned that I seemed so nervous when I first saw the Dealer Inspire dashboard and the data that we were able to collect for the first time. So knowing how I felt about it as a marketer, and we thrive on this kind of stuff, being able to reach out, really understanding people. So that's where I am as far as being passionate about the topic and really excited just to kind of talk a little bit more what we collect, how we get it, and how you guys at the dealership can use that without being creepy, essentially. Creepy is kind of my word, so you'll probably hear that a lot in the next 20 minutes or so.
All right. Okay. So you're absolutely right. That is one of those things. I believe the first thing when I saw this data, I was a little creeped out too. But but then I had to remember that pretty much all of my media isn't private. So if you make your information public, then we legally have access to it. So yes, that's a very good point. Okay. Do you want me to give you control of the slides here?
Yeah, that would be perfect. If you're ready, let's just jump right in.
Okay. All right.
Hold on one second.
So another important thing to remember about this, folks, is one of the things, especially that Erin is going to talk to us about, is there is a reason as marketers and as sales agents, there is a reason why we have this information. But it's everything is all to make sure that you guys can do your job to the best of your ability. Especially even though in this digital age, there is still a human connection that needs to happen, right? So we can chat all we want online and, do all that great stuff and text back and forth. But at the end of the day, knowing that, we both love to fish or golf and knowing their best game is that really what helps build that connection. So, yeah, so that's what this is all about. All right.
All right. So thank you. I kind of worked that technical difficulty out really quick.
No problem.
So I think to kind of understand what we were just talking about, the easiest way is to talk about what kind of data we collect as a website platform and where it's coming from and understanding what's available to you guys. So if you're on the Dealer Inspire platform, you've been inside the ROI dashboard, you have access to a wealth of information about when it comes to sales and ROI and your lead forms and things like that. And one of the most important pieces I think we collect is about those customers that we have. So we're able to grab a range of information from those people. How many times have they been on the website? What pages of the site were they looking at when they were here? Their visitor history, and then have they purchased a vehicle from you before? That's something, since we are plugged right into your DMS, that we can match those people based on the email address that they used when they filled out the form, and then match that to their name in the DMS and that other information. Outside of that, using some public sources, we can also tell what social networks they're on, what their demographics are. So what's their age range? Are they male or female? Where are they located? And that, again, is all public information. That's not something we're really digging into behind the scenes. If it's out there on the internet, wide open spaces, we're able to grab that and kind of aggregate it into one spot for you. And the other really important and awesome piece of information that we're able to provide is this Dadium data. So if you're, again, a client of ours, you understand our relationship with Dadium and the information we can provide. If you're not, quick little scoop. So Dadium is a data company focusing in the automotive space. So they've got a pixel on thousands of automotive-related websites, and they're just collecting data. As a partner of theirs, we receive a data feed through an API, so we can match up IP address to IP address based on people that are filling out the forms on the website. So unfortunately, everyone online, and this might disappoint some people, all you are is an IP address until we have something else to match that with. And that's kind of the beauty of Dealer Inspire is we take that IP address and all that information attached to it, and as soon as we can put a name and an email to that IP address, we can marry that information together, and then that Dadium data really becomes powerful. So that includes intensity score. So what is your probability or propensity to buy at this time based on the kind of research you've been doing in the websites you've been on? Also, when did Dadium first see you? When did you enter one of their automotive websites and really start your search? And maybe the last time that you were seen on one of those sites outside of your Dealer Inspire website. I think that's really powerful too. And probably the most exciting kind of in-depth piece is vehicles viewed and price points. So can't tell you where we saw them or where they were looking at them at, but we can tell you their top 3 vehicle choices just based on the research done, and then what those price points are. So I think that's hugely powerful when you start a conversation with a new customer. So it's kind of helpful. We're talking through it and around it, but this is actually what a customer profile looks like when you're inside the Dealer Inspire dashboard. So we have this customers tab right over here. So you've got all the other tabs available to you, and what we're focused on today is customers. So this looks a little redacted, maybe like a CIA report if you watch State of Affairs or any like shows like that. This looks a little intense for the privacy of everyone involved. But when you look at it as a whole, it's a really powerful thing. So this is what you would see if you dove into a customer profile. Tanya, are you all good on my screen? You can see everything?
Yep, I'm good.
Jump in? All right, perfect. So we've got how many times they visited the website. So that's going to be a piece of information that's collected based on our own data. We know how many times you've been there because you've submitted a form. We've got a cookie. We're there. And then we're going to show you the last few visits. And the nice thing is you can expand these. So clicking into the December 30th visit, we can actually see the different pages on the Inspire site that they were looking at. So it's a really powerful tool for you and your team. What are they looking at when they're on my website? Are they gravitating to one specific vehicle? Are they more interested in financing? And this is going to kind of build that picture of who this person is before you ever even do your initial callback. So we're going to be able to see that information. And over time, if you expand all of the visits, you see, okay, they keep coming back to this fusion, or they keep looking at the used inventory, or they keep looking at the specials, maybe they're looking for time changes or price changes, things like that. So that's all going to be within the Dealer Inspire site. And then here's that Dadium piece that I was talking about on the last slide. So probability to buy. Based on your consumer behavior on those outside websites, Dadium gives us a score that we can then obviously hand off to you guys. So you're rated up on a scale of 5. So 5, I like to say when I'm talking to our clients, find out where they live and go to their house. Now that goes completely against the point of this webinar about not being creepy. So don't really do it. But in terms of, are they ready to make the purchase today? 100%. Okay, 99%. So these people are looking to make a vehicle purchase. We know that based on behavior online. That's what Dadium is telling us, and we're sharing with you. So find a way to get in touch with them. Using that data can be as easy as looking through the website and seeing who your 5s are when you look at the notifications information. I know that was a previous webinar that we had done, the power of those notifications. Follow up with your 5s first, and then work backwards all the way down to 1. That way you're prioritizing your day, whether you're a dealership that operates a BDC or you just kind of round robin with your salespeople. I think that's really important, just to kind of make sure you're following up those people that are your hottest leads. So
Yeah,
you've got that probability to buy. Oh, you got a question?
Oh, no, I was just going to point out that, that it looks like that little piece of data right there really helps maximize your day and get the most out of it.
Absolutely. I think that definitely helps you figure out where to start in the morning if you don't have a solid plan in place. So then those other stats right below probability to buy are going to be your enter the online marketplace date. So that's the first time that Dadium sees you or that pixel gets dropped on your browser. So this kind of is indicative of the buying cycle too. I mean, obviously everyone's different. So you might be looking for a vehicle for 3 months because you're looking to trade in a lease, or who knows. I know my husband found a car in 1 day. We've got totaled. So sometimes you're in need. Sometimes you've got the time and the luxury to shop around. So you'll also see that last seen by Dadium, and that's going to be the last time they were seen outside of your Dealer Inspire website. So like you can tell, this customer was only seen for 1 day, so the 27th and the 28th. But in that time, quite a bit of research took place, and then obviously they found their way to the dealer website and started doing additional research. And then you're going to see those top 3 vehicles. So in this case, there's no price information associated with those top 3 vehicles that this person was looking at. Sometimes, depending on the websites they're researching, you can get some of that price point information. I think that's hugely helpful when you start a conversation with a potential customer. If you know they're looking at brand new vehicles on your website, but they're actually looking at vehicles at a much lower price point, now maybe we need to sway them into a used vehicle that might be loaded. They might have all the accessories and things they're looking for. The same as the new vehicle, but it's a little bit more effective and it's in the price point that they're searching. So it's super helpful over there. And then obviously on the right-hand side of this page, we've got demographics, and then we do have the history. So this is actually a person, and looking at the date, they ended up purchasing a vehicle from the dealership. Now, if they had purchased previously, maybe a couple of years ago, and they used the same exact email and name and everything matched up in the DMS, we'd be able to pull that in. So that's a conversation starter too. How's that Fusion doing that? You know, you purchased a couple of years back, we had you in our database, so just wanted to follow up. Are we looking to replace that vehicle, or are we looking for another vehicle for the family? Things like that, easy conversation starters. And then down here in the lower right, I think this is where some of that creep factor can come in. So with great data comes great responsibility, or whatever that superhero line is. I think it's applicable here. I like the comic book movies. I don't read the comic books, so I don't have all the details down. Let's be real. But those social networks, I think this was the piece for me that was a little bit of a heart stopper. So just to be clear, all this data that's coming in, it's from an open source. So if it's available anywhere online, in terms of not having privacy lockdowns in place and things like that. So no, they don't have a Facebook profile in here because they probably have their Facebook profile in private or some sort of restricted setting. So obviously we're not going in and violating any settings or anything in that way. But if you have a profile that's public out there and it's available, all we're doing is aggregating that data. This isn't something that anyone couldn't get by sitting on their computer and doing some really thorough research. But for you guys, we want to make sure you've got as much on hand as possible and to communicate efficiently. Obviously, it's much quicker to be able to click through a couple links, get some ideas, and then move on versus, sending someone on an exploratory mission when you've got, 50 plus leads coming in a day. It's just not really feasible. So we want to make all that information available to you. So I think we're going to cover right in here just how we collect it. So we know we covered a little bit of this information. A lot of info comes from our website data and your own DMS. So that's where we get that history information. Obviously, data, and we talked a little bit through there. So it's a pixel installed on the automotive sites, and then we match that to the data that we have in our own system. So kind of how everything comes together there. I'm talking with my hands as if you guys can see me. Imagine two hands coming together like I'm going to clap. And then I don't know what's going on. So then we also have the demo and social information. So if it's out there on the internet, we can get it. Obviously, as marketers, we would encourage everyone to open up all of your sources. You shouldn't have anything to hide. And actually, this is going to help all of us get to our clients and customers more effectively. We'll be able to reach you the way you want to be reached, but we're not quite there yet. So when we talk about using data for good and being responsible, there are so many ways. I think the easiest way to talk about it initially is how not to use this data. So thank you, Shani, for putting these sweet memes together.
No problem.
This is a great illustration of where things can go south if you're not mindful of the data. I think to some degree, people understand that their information is out there and it's available, but they might not understand like how available or how much is actually linked to them. So let's say you're on Facebook. Right here is complicated. So I just wanted to call and see if, you're ready to come in and test drive. Sorry to see that your relationship is complicated. I think any of these situations is gonna, in my family, we have what we call like the lean back, in which you put a disgusted look on your face and you lean back because you can't imagine what you're hearing. I think any of these memes, if they actually took place on a phone call or even in an in-person meeting, you would get that lean back, that I'm sorry, what? So again, the information is out there, it's on the web. I don't think people are ready to hear it in such a direct way. So when we talk about being respectful in data, we're talking about knowing the time and place, and it's something that you can kind of learn the more you work into it. Obviously, you're not going to jump right in every day, and when you get started, when you train the BDC, here's the 10 things that you can talk about, but there are definitely creative ways that you can work those things in. So we have some suggestions and information on how you want to use it. I love that little dude. So how you can use it. So definitely to build rapport with your customers, and having all this information at your fingertips at the time of the call or right prior to calling one of your customers back, it helps you remove some of those probing questions, and you can kind of anticipate what their needs are. So if you happen to click through and you're just doing a quick social overview before you give someone a call, they sent in a lead or a scheduled test drive form about an F-150. Okay, you see that they have a boat. You see that they probably have a lake house. You're not going to say, hey, what kind of boat are you driving? You're going to talk about the truck's towing capacity and some of the great features for storage and towing capacity and gas mileage, probably if you're going to be towing a boat. Those are things that you can talk about as vehicle features that don't necessarily allude to the fact that you saw their boat on Facebook, but it helps answer probably some of those questions that they had. Because if they're going to throw that thing behind the truck, they definitely need to know they've got the power to do it, and that it's not going to eat up all their fund money on their gas tanks. So we've got that going on. If you see family-oriented people with multiple children are looking at a minivan or possibly a crossover. Talk about the latch system is already installed for car seats. There's actually plenty of room, so you can't, it's not just, the back seat. You've got plenty of trunk space, you have plenty of storage. So just to kind of start that conversation in the right direction without having to ask them, oh, do you have a family? Are you looking for X, Y, and Z, something in particular. So it's really about kind of picking out those details and using them to your advantage in the conversation. Obviously, again, you can understand their interests, and then what's really great about that dating score is you can gauge anticipated timeline. If they're a 1, they probably just started their search, they found a vehicle they like, they're going to submit it. So if you get an NA at this time or something like that, they're not interested, they'll probably line up with the data, so you're not going to push too hard. But if you know they're 4 or 5, you know they're probably looking to buy, so how much information can you get to them quickly so you can help them make the most effective purchase? I think there's so many ways that you can use the data, and those are probably just scraping the surface. But I hope that gives you guys an indicator of how you can use it without directly talking about the things that you see. Another example I would say, especially because we're in the Chicago area and we have kind of this sports obsession, we use that a little lightly. If you know they're fans too, just kind of based on what you see, just kind of get that conversation going. Talk about, oh, did you see the game? Thank God they fired Treston. Things like that. It's so important to connect with people, and you guys, you work with people every day, so you definitely understand that. And I think these are different ways that we can start that conversation. Not everyone is super excited about buying a vehicle. They have some anxiety about it. So being able to connect with them on something outside of the actual vehicle purchase and the whole process, I think is really powerful. It helps them feel comfortable and encourages them to come on in. So I know that was super quick. Definitely if anyone has questions, or Shauna, if you have anything you want to throw in that I didn't talk about, I'm happy to.
No, that was great. I was thinking, the way to tie in the cars or the vehicle's functionality with whatever you notice, like your boat and F-150 analogy. I mean, I absolutely thought that was brilliant. That's something that, I think that is the A1 perfect way to analogy to illustrate, how to use this responsibly, because it can be such a fine line, and once again, it's like, when if you have a friend that you just became friends with online, and they go through your old pictures and like something from 2 years ago, that's not too weird, because you know that they're going to be on there. But if a salesman comes along and says, hey, yeah, I wore a hideous dress to my sister wore a hideous dress her wedding too, and it's going to be it'll be a little awkward. So I think there's a myriad of ways to use this data in a way that will help generate leads and make the sale, and and also show emotional accountability. You know what I mean? Like making sure that that the person buying the car just doesn't feel like the dealer's just trying to get their money and just trying to get their commission. Like it shows a real rapport. So I like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Erin while we're here? You can unmute yourselves and speak, or go through the chat line, the chat board.
Hey, Erin, I actually have a question for you.
Oh, sure.
So outside of the initial call, I can see how this is beneficial, but how can we use this data after that initial call?
That is a great question.
It's a great question.
I think there's definitely a ton of different ways. So thinking of it from a BDC perspective, just internally with the dealership, I know a lot of times the BDC really does a lot of the hard hitting with the phone and getting to know the customer, and then when they're actually coming in, they get hooked up with a salesperson. So that data can be helpful just when it comes to figuring out what salesperson best matches their interests and personality, just to ensure that that relationship that was built in the BDC can continue to move forward in a positive way. You guys will understand your interests a little bit better. You'll have more in common. So again, kind of building that rapport. But as a marketer, and again, this might take some doing in terms of getting things ready and depending on the flow in and out of the dealership. But if you know a customer is wavering just based on what they're looking at on the website between a Focus and a Fusion, or vehicles that are either very similar or polar opposites, how amazing would that be to invite the customer in at a certain time and actually have those vehicles both parked out front, kind of so when they walk in, they see exactly what they were looking for right off the bat. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they submitted a form for a test drive for both of them that you just happen to know. So kind of a little bit of that subliminal aspect to marketing that we get so excited about, but it's something that can be executed inside the dealership, or just even to throw that on the radar when you know you have a customer coming in that they might actually be interested in other vehicles too, just not sure they're in their price point. So I think it gives you a little bit of action item for when you do get that customer in the door. There's other ways to use that just beyond first call. So I hope that answers your question. Just a couple ideas.
All right, just great information. Any other questions? All right, Erin. Well, that was amazing. That was great work, and so glad to have you on board. You're truly. I know that the more and more I work with you, it boggles my mind how much you know. So so thank you for being a guest today on the DI How Do I. If
Very excited. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. If any of you need additional training for yourself or for your staff, then feel free to email me at dihowdoi@dealerinspire.com. Also, make sure you check out our website as I send out below. Thank you, Erin. You can make sure to fill out the survey, po.st/DI survey. And if you know Dealer Inspire, then you know that the questions are not boring or tedious. They are fun and, very witty. So at least go and just read them and ask them and tell us how awesome we are. And then the next webinar is going to be February 26th, as I mentioned earlier, with Alan Hain, and that is protecting your rep, using the DI dashboard to monitor your reviews. And Alan is he's our Google guru, if you will. So he has some really cool tips and tricks to get you get you high ranked there in Google, and just really fun stuff. Always a chance to learn. So with that, I would like to thank you, Erin. And thank you all for listening. I am Shawnee, the trainer of technologies for innovative dealers such as yourself. See you all next week.